In times like these, I would usually call these free agency vids Sportsball. However, this is not one of these situations. This NFL offseason has been a storm unlike any other. Tectonic splits and shifting continents uprooting nearly everything from the football landscape. These aren't mere transactions, but an arms race. World powers and their proliferation of nuclear weapons. SALT II may have been ratified during the Carter administration, but the NFL doesn't need to adhere to that shit. This is a league of haves and have-nots. And the AFC has become a battleground before a minicamp has even commenced. In Buffalo's case, their needs are relatively simple, if merely in theory. Get help for Josh Allen in the running game, bolster the interior line, and maybe an extra piece or two to reinforce the defense. Allen is an excellent piece, but last year's bitter defeat proved that he alone can't do it all. For the line, Roger Saffold was added for reinforcement. I would congratulate them on signing J.D. McKissick, but he got cold feet at the altar and ran out of the church. O.J. Howard, Daquan Jones, and the legend of Case Keenum brought in his depth. Watching as Kansas City marched on their defense with 2 plays has haunted the Bills. They respond with a major splash on defense. His name is Von Miller. Name brand goodness for 6 years. $20 million per year? For a 33-year-old edge? I know everyone's gonna say that's not how NFL contracts work, but he's getting $51 million guaranteed. This is a 3-year contract for a man with injury concerns and father time beating at his door. Buffalo's not paying him for what he can do, but what he was. He's still a good player, but at that price? I'd rather pass. There's still work to be done. Don't rest yet. Maybe it has to do with the new stadium being built, but it could do with holes to fill as well. The Dolphins have gone through intense turmoil over the past 3 months. No one knows if Stephen Ross is going to be pulled off stage like he bombed at the Apollo, but it won't stop Miami from having a relatively efficient free agent cycle. In the beginning, there were low-key buys. Underrated names to fortify the offense, like Raheem Mostert, Chase Edmonds, Cedric Wilson, Connor Williams, and Teddy Bridge quarterback. Mike Gesicki was sicked with a franchise tag so he wouldn't leave. However, that was far from enough for this Dolphins team. They need to make sure Tua has absolutely no excuse for future suckitude. Their offensive line was atrocious last season, and winning the battle for Teron Armstead should instantly make it better overnight. Blindside goodness as long as he's healthy. Thank fuck. Little did we all know that the Dolphins had greater ambitions. They went to the store for cats and brought back a cheetah. Tyreek Hill is now a Miami Dolphin. Hopefully, unlike Will Fuller, he will play more than 2 games in their uniform. They sent 5 draft picks to Kansas City for him, including 1st and 2nd rounders. An unbelievable price, but that was only the beginning. Tyreek got paid like a god. A 4-year extension worth $72 million guaranteed. Swing your cock out, Tyreek. You're going to be paid like your talent suggests. Hill should instantly build the Miami offense into a formidable foe. And as the narrative implies, there will be no excuses for Tua this season. The offense has been revitalized with talent not seen in years. And the AFC East will have their hands full trying to contain it. In theory. To our lovably hateful former overlords in Foxborough, it's been a relatively uneventful, if weird, offseason. It's not what they did, but what they didn't do. They refused to franchise tag J.C. Jackson, allowing one of your better defenders to secure a bag elsewhere? Have you grown soft, Bill? You can try to do what you do with coaches by bringing back Trent Brown and an aged Malcolm Butler to torment Seattle more. It means nothing, Bill. Nothing! The defense is going through a bit of flux, but nothing else is coming in. I get it, they did blow their load pretty hard last offseason. The key for the Patriots has always been in Mac Jones. Nothing will stop them from getting back to the Super Bowl. Except perhaps cap needs and aging players. What people tend to not realize about the Tyreek Hill deal is that the New York Jets were trying to work out a trade with him beforehand. However, rivals do not care for good intentions. And Tyreek would rather die than go to northern New Jersey. Better climate and no income tax. You wonder why he went to Miami instead? The Jets just have no luck. And it doesn't have to do with the rest of their moves. More low-key, but still efficient. CJ Uzoma at tight end, Laken Tomlinson for the line, Jordan Whitehead, DJ Reed, and Greg the wide left leg on defense and special teams. New York knows they need Zach Wilson and the youth to evolve to have any chance at survival. The last few times they've splurged in free agency, it's blown up in their faces. I'll give them credit for trying to learn. They're trying to do it the right way this time. Let's see if it finally works out for them. Baltimore's game plan? Get healthy. That's roughly about it. being completely destroyed by forces both foreign and domestic have left a sour taste in their mouths. And with the rest of the division getting the best of them, it has given them resolve to bolster weak spots. For the offensive line, Morgan Moses, who will hopefully block more than the saloon door that was Villanueva. On defense, welcome Marcus Williams and the homecoming of Michael Pierce into the flock. Have you heard the tale of Za'Darius Smith, the excellent edge rusher cast off from Green Bay due to the salary cap from hell? This will be Baltimore's gain, as they signed him to... He backed out. God damn it, Jacksonville. Can't you see that Baltimore had the biggest catch of the day escaped from their grasp because of you? Now they have to settle for developing some random mid-round pick into a good player. Bastards. We can safely say that Cincinnati was the biggest surprise of the 2021 season. I think that's never been argued, but everyone knows their biggest weakness. The offensive line. It was still pretty bad, and Joe Burrow's long-term health is paramount to getting another chance at greatness. Fortunately for the Bengals, they knew this, and spent accordingly. Their line has been reformed and strengthened with Alex Kappa, Ted Karras, and Lyle Collins. On paper, the O-line should be formidable and allow Burrow to not get sacked at least once a drive. Good work, Cincy. You solved your greatest issue. As for everything else, CJ Uzomah is gone, but now replaced by the former Baltimore Flame and Hayden Hurst. Jesse Bates, unfortunately, now realizes that the two most dreaded words in existence are indeed franchise tag. Such a terrible fate for him. Hopefully they will see the light and pay him what he's worth. They did it with Eli Apple, for fuck's sake. The Browns are taking all of the L's. Cincy is allowed to flex on them. The goddamn Bengals. That was their opportunity they stole. And Cleveland will need to fortify further for any chance. Even if it involves taking on Amari Cooper thanks to Dallas having a fire sale. Only for a day 3 pick who says no. David Njoku has been brought back under the franchise tag, but Berea is restless. They know that Baker Mayfield isn't going to be the man to take them anywhere. To be fair, I will give Baker some sympathy. He should have never been playing with the injury he had. It fucked with his mechanics and it fucked with his value to both the team and the league. Cleveland does not care for such frivolities. They want an adult at QB. Baker is a child. In every attempt to piss off their supposed savior, they went after Deshaun Watson in a Hail Mary heave. They even cut J.C. Treader to secure cap space for it, but it seemingly failed. And where else did it fail? With Baker. His baker's dozen has been cooked to hell and back. He wants out of Cleveland by any means necessary, however he may be stuck. All of his options for a trade are shrinking, and the Browns have no leverage whatsoever in negotiations. Mayfield may be as shanked as the Oklahoma flag at midfield. He may be relegated to backup duty next season. Never thought I'd feel bad for Baker, yet I somehow feel sympathy for him. How the hell did that happen? At the crossing of the Three Rivers, Pittsburgh is moving forward with what they tried to stubbornly avoid for years. Life without the leader of men. It's not as hard as you'd think with how destroyed he was physically. Even then, there is much to do. Coaches and GMs retiring, players leaving the works. On the O-line, a catastrophic wreck last season, Chuck Okorafor is back at right tackle. And it will hopefully be supported by Mason Cole and James Daniels, a beacon of light on a shitty Bears line by itself. Gunnar Olszewski joining the fray on special teams over the departing Ray McLeod. But on the defensive front, the biggest piece gained may be off the field. And that's saying something considering they signed Levi Wallace and Miles Jack to replace departing veterans. Brian Flores is somehow not dead. He's got an NFL gig, even if it's as an assistant. It's probably the biggest surprise of the year considering he's suing the damn league. But what about quarterback? The Steeler way is to rarely splurge in the offseason, but perhaps a placeholder could work until they find their next savior in the draft. I know just the man. Mitch Trubisky! Pittsburgh, get ready to kiss all the titties! Damaged merchandise that was overhyped to hell and back. It almost sounds like Yinzers themselves. Maybe one of them can throw a football properly. Houston's main objective may have been a little late in execution, but the Deshaun Watson saga has nearly reached its end. Over a year of speculation can be put to rest. Mostly because he won't be criminally charged for having an ego the size of Texas when it came to masseuses. Deshaun will finally get his happy ending. His own choice of where he wants to play next. The suitors were vast and wide. Indianapolis was a no. Cleveland was rejected. Carolina became more of a laughingstock than it already is. The options were down to New Orleans and Atlanta. The reward for this overwrought reality TV show being a bounty not seen in a very long time. In this glorified recruiting process, the winner of Deshaun's services is... Cleveland. Thought they were ruled out of the process. Did Deshaun consent to their continued efforts to get him? I'll give the Browns credit for persistence. They fired a Hail Mary that Aaron Rodgers would be jealous of, but the rewards for everyone else is sweeter. Houston, in return, gets 3 first-round picks to ruin their rebuild with, as well as 3 more mid-round selections. Mr. Watson will more than likely never go hungry again. He was given another extension by Cleveland before his current extension even kicked in. $230 million, fully guaranteed. What a deserving reward for a high-risk acquisition that hasn't played in over a year. If it works out, they're contenders. If not, we laugh at Cleveland yet again. It's a dangerous proposition. Browns fans, please hand in your big rape cards immediately. Those privileges have been permanently revoked. Now you have your own Big Ben to begrudgingly cherish. And he'll be very hands-on with his approach. Whoa, Deshaun, we just met. Duval. It is the word that sends Indianapolis into a tailspin. Hearing that horrible curse uttered in their hallowed walls will break every guitar in Jim Irsay's office. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Again, we aren't talking about trading for Yannick Ngakoue, he's still pretty solid. It's in the chorus of cast-offs they pretend can replace Andrew Luck. Carson Wentz, for his fantastically awful performances at the end of the season, has been packed into a Mayflower truck in the middle of the night. With this exile to the Reskins, they hope Colts fans will not form a lynch mob to hunt him down. Philly cackles in delight. For their next victim, quarterback, they go for another short-term fix. This one isn't like Phillip Rivers, they swear it. Matt Ryan may be on a bit of a decline, but he brings positional stability to an organization that desperately needs it. All it cost them was cap space and a 3rd-round pick. And he was one of the best QBs available on the open market. Yes, the Colts are running on a hamster wheel of their own construction, why do you ask? They'll make the playoffs this time. They may lose in the wildcard game again, but they'll make it, damn it! It will be their eternal punishment. If you want someone to blame for how chaotic and calamitous this NFL offseason has been, you already know where to look. What do you get when you combine one of the worst GMs in football, an openly incompetent organization that's been terrible for years, and second-tier free agents being thrown way too much money in the hopes that they'll come to this shithole? A team that completely breaks the league. Jacksonville, what the hell have you done? Cam Robinson getting the franchise tag? Are you a charity? Brendan Sheriff is solid for what he's paid, but what about Foye Oluokun, Fole Fotakasi, and Darius Williams? Massively overpaid. Zay Jones and the stone hands of Evan Engram given way too much money as well for what they provide. However, that isn't what set off the butterfly effect. You know what did? Christian Kirk. He's a good wideout, but for what they're paying him? $18 million a year. Number 1 wideout money? For a guy who's never been a headliner? $175 million in guaranteed money thrown out? What the fuck is wrong with you? No wonder why everyone's got their goddamn clown outfits on, because only a circus would pay these wages to this caliber of athlete. Everywhere in war rooms throughout the NFL, they glare at the Jags, for they've single-handedly done more for the compensation of labor than the league has done for years. We'll probably call it a tax write-off. The Titans may be insta-fucked without a better quarterback at the helm than Ryan Tannehill, but didn't you know? Tennessee can't do much about his contract lest they absorb a horrific cap penalty. It's a lot easier to cut the likes of Jackrabbit Jenkins and Julio Jones. I thought Julio would do a lot better here. Would have been nice if he could have stayed healthy. Speaking of health, why not acquire a guy coming off a torn ACL and Robert Woods? He's still quality, right? Same goes for Austin Hooper. He was just cut, not injured, so that makes it a little bit better. It doesn't change the truth. With what they have under center, the Titans are stuck in a bitterly disappointing loop. They prefer for you not to talk about it. Denver is in the same category. An outstanding defense that was wasted thanks to lackluster offensive play and scheming. However, unlike their season, they chose not to check it down on a 3rd and long. They chucked it deep into triple coverage. The already excellent defense was reinforced quite heartily with Randy Gregory, DJ Jones, and K'Wan Williams, which should be huge for facing off against their rivals. Even then, there was an empty feeling inside of them. They need a quarterback. Everything has been lining up for the Broncos to pursue the services of Aaron Rodgers before he chose to stay in Green Bay. Every hater was celebrating this misfortune. But descending from football heaven is another franchise quarterback. From Seattle comes a great face in Russell Wilson. And Denver is betting everything that he's going to be the piece that takes them back into contending status. Hell, it worked with Peyton Manning, why wouldn't it work here? The cost is irrelevant. 2 firsts and 2 seconds? Noah Fant? Horsecock Lock and Shelby Harris? Fuck the picks, the Rams proved that you need to go YOLO for any chance at a ring. Denver is merely copying accordingly. Chef Russ is already cooking up a storm at Mile High. He's burning the stadium with an efficiency that few quarterbacks before him have equaled. John Elway looks from above and smiles at this smoldering ruin, for they have their quarterback to compete with the big boys. Hopefully. Kansas City is in a tricky spot. They are still elite, but the hounds of war, age, and rival suitors conspire to rip apart at the very fabric of their franchise. Playing with Patrick Mahomes doesn't have the appeal it had when he takes up a shit ton of their cap. They'll try, by God they'll try. Justin Reed, fresh from Houston exile, brought in to replace the Honey Badger. Ronald Jones hired to hopefully not be ripped to shreds by the head coach. Things were quiet, but danger was bubbling underneath. And its name was Tyreek Hill. He's seen what his peers are getting on the market. He sees his chance to flex his power and demand whatever he wants. And what does he want? Out of Kansas City. You have to consider that the Chiefs offered Tyreek more money than he could have gotten elsewhere, yet he desired the sunny beaches of Miami instead. What a pity. Now they must tolerate the poor souls to replace them. Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Juju Smith-Schuster. If anything, their TikTok game is going to go 11-6 at minimum. The torment continues to haunt the Chargers wherever they go. Failure. Constant, never-ending failure. It happened again last season thanks to a horrifically bad defense. Unfortunately, you can't call timeout in the offseason to refresh your mindset. The answer is to go big. The team you're paying rent to won a fucking Super Bowl. You can't be relegated to the Clippers of the NFL. That's a punishment worse than death itself. They have to make splash moves on the defensive side of the ball, and by God did they do it. 2 names were most of what they needed. Khalil Mack as a compliment to Joey Bosa and to torment the Raiders for eternity. And J.C. Jackson, because you need to take a pound or 2 of flesh from New England. With these acquisitions, along with the likes of Sebastian Joseph and Gerald Everett, the Chargers should be a force to be reckoned with on the national stage. On paper, their defense should be solid, although we said this last year and look what happened. This team is straight up snakebit. And knowing their fortunes, Mack will keep getting injured and J.C. Jackson will be this generation's Nnamdi Asomugha. The sad part is that it's much closer to reality than you'd think. Las Vegas, you're also in a very perilous situation. You overachieved last season, but every rival in your division has either gotten significantly better or is still strong. On the other side of the coin, you get the liability of being the next team to think skinning the Patriots alive for Bill Belichick's leftovers is a good idea. Josh McDaniels is your head coach. Denver is sitting there laughing at you. Those last few times he was in charge were a disaster, but this time it'll be different. The Raiders need to make moves to get the stench of the Gruden-Mayock debacle off of them. Extending Max Crosby is a good start, even if he was a pick from their regime. Why not add the likes of Rock Yassin and Chandler Jones? Those are excellent additions in their own right, both needs to fill. But you know what the Raiders have sorely lacked? A big-time wideout. It's been a void since they traded Amari Cooper. Look to Green Bay and you will see it. A former college teammate of Derek Carr. Davante Adams is the man that will add the extra oomph the offense truly needs to get to that next level. Packers fans can cry all they want, but you know the motto in Vegas. Go big or go home. The Raiders are going big. Trading a first and second rounder for his services. And then extending him to an average of over $28 million per year. The price is as rich as Davante's bank account. And we all know that throwing everything for a 29-year-old wideout with a ton of mileage on him is always a good idea. I really hope he does work out, though. I like Davante. It's just how things work out for the Raiders, you know? Do you think it's enough for them to compete in this division? The AFC West isn't a conference, it's the fucking Cold War out there.
Someone, San Francisco, to get to the quarterback here. Prescott takes off running the football. Whoa, I don't think this is going to work out.
It will. They'll be able to clock this. They were planning for it. It's down. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, the official gets in the way. The game's over.
Gosh.
The game is over.
Oh, he did.